Welcome back to the third year of Spiralclan and their story in the clangen generator challenge. I have had a bit of a hiatus, as you know. I've had a lot of personal things going on in my life that are pretty amazing but require a lot of time and effort to be put into it, and also because a lot of games have come out in the last year and I've been deciding to spend my time doing things that I want to do. But slowly and surely I have been working on the drawings of the new cats that are present in the third year of this challenge of Spiralclan, and I'm here to tell you about the Year of Blood. Before we begin, I'm here to tell you a little bit about our clan so far. First of all, we have our leader Birdstar. He was the founder of Spiralclan, and he originally had a cat called Pumpkin Sprout as his deputy. Unfortunately, Pumpkin Sprout was captured by Two Legs and has since gone missing. She has not been found, but she hasn't been shown to be in StarClan, which means she's still alive out there somewhere and might one day return. His current deputy's name is Bitternpuddle. Bitternpuddle has 3 living kits: Ermine Stone, Petunia Thunder, and Hopswipe. They are some of our oldest warriors in the clan. Primrose Fox, Hound Husk, and Shinepaw are all medicine cats. Shinepaw is Hound Husk's son, and he's also the son of Sharpbellow, who is currently a warrior, but I believe is expecting kits. Greyrip is our mediator for the clan. He is an elder, but he works between the cats to make sure that relationships are stable and good, as well as between the clans to make sure that the relationships with outsiders are stable and good as well. Our elders are Scorchheart and Inkpuddle. They are in a relationship and they have raised many kits over the course of just finding them in the forest, because they can't have kits of their own, being 2 she-cats, but they are quite happy to help raise someone else who does not have a mother. We have Howlbillow as someone who was found by Ermingstone and Birdstar in the forest as a 5-month-old kit, who has been trained by the clan to become a warrior as well. And we currently have our apprentices, starting with Cinnamon Paw, who was found by Scorchheart and Inkpuddle and raised as their son. And then Rabbit Paw, Petterpaw, and Honeypaw, who are Sharpbellow and Hound Husk's other kits from their first litter. At the end of the year, last year, a Queen Bluebell Fur was found. She was a Shoreclan cat, and she brought her kits, Lyre Kit and Pheasant Kit, to come and join Spiralclan. In the same month, Stag Kit was found by Scorchheart and Inkpuddle, and since Bluebell Fur is a suckling queen, Stag Kit is also being suckled by Bluebell Fur. Earlier on, Branch Kit, Billow Kit, and Meadow Kit were found in the forest. Their mother had been killed, so Sharpbellow is also looking after those 3 kits. They do believe Sharpbellow and Hound Husk to be their parents. And they are the cats that are currently alive and living in the clan. Unfortunately, this year was a very bad year for Spiralclan in terms of a lot of deaths, so we'll get into that straight away. At the start of year 3, Bitternpuddle took Bluebell Fur out to show her the territory. Out of nowhere, a gang of rogues appeared, and despite Bitternpuddle's skill in battle, the 2 were greatly outnumbered and were both killed. Bitternpuddle's loss was felt greatly within the clan, and he's missed by many cats, especially by Birdstar and Sharpbellow. Bluebell Fur was taken from her kits far too soon. Fleck was a loner who died off-screen when Inkpuddle and Scorchheart once again stumbled across her kits. She was grateful that the 2 she-cats found and rescued them. Her kits were named Tuft Kit and Panther Kit. You'll see them at the very end of the video. Twigpaw was born as Twigkit, as one of Hound Husk and Sharpbellow's second litter of kits. She was apprenticed to Branchpelt when she reached 6 moons old. On her first border patrol, a tree branch fell from above her, crushing her under its weight. As she looked desperately at her sister Hemlock Paw, she saw satisfaction, or what she thought to be that, in Hemlock Paw's eyes, before she passed away. Her last thought was that this could not have been an accident. Throughout Stag Kit's kithood, he suffered from fleas for quite a few moons of this year, and there was a little bit of an outbreak throughout the year for that. When he became an apprentice, his mentor was assigned as Cinnamon Feather, who I will tell you a bit more about later on as well. When the clan was low on food, he was praised for hunting and killing a massive rat. However, it was too late when he realized that the rat was poisoned. Despite burying it away from camp, Stagpaw fell violently ill and never recovered, and he now resides in Starkland with Bluebell Fur. Scorchheart took on the role of raising Lyrekit and Pheasantkit when Bluebell Fur was killed. She and Inkpuddle cared for them as if they were their own. In a few moons, their family grew, and when they found Pantherkit and Tuftkit. At the beginning of the final moon of her year, however, the moon of blood, Scorchheart fell into the river, which was swollen from snowmelt, and drowned, despite Bluepaw's efforts to try and save her. Bluepaw was brought to the clan as a kit, alongside his mother and his sister, Bounce and Heatherkit. He was never sitting still, and he was apprenticed to Honeyleaf when the time came. The next moon, however, he jumped into the river to try and save Scorchheart, but he drowned alongside her. He was remembered by the clan for his compassion. Billowkit was apprenticed to Birdstar at 6 moons old. She often visited the new kits, telling them stories and exciting them about all there was to see in the forest. She was made a warrior at 12 moons old and named Billowstripe, and she was honoured for her boldness. Birdstar taught her resilience and to avoid fights. However, in the Moon of Blood, she was killed when her patrol was ambushed by rogues. Branchkit was apprenticed to Saphanthiel at 6 moons old. I will talk about Saphanthiel later. He is close with Cinnamon Paw throughout his apprenticeship, which was unnecessarily long. His mentor was constantly in the medicine den for something or another, frequently recovering from this or that. He was brought along to other training sessions, but didn't do well without a permanent mentor to guide him. He was named Branchpelt at 14 moons old, and with the little time Saphanthiel had with him, was influenced to heed their inner compass and make impulsive decisions. Birdstar honoured him for his hard work and proven name. He was given Twigpaw as an apprentice, who was killed on their first patrol. A moon later, he joined his apprentice in Starkland when the rogues murdered him on his patrol alongside Billowstripe and another cat. When Bittonpuddle was killed at the start of the year, Ermine Stone was selected by Birdstar to replace his father. These proved to be large paw steps to fill. When a dog attacked his patrol, he argued about the best way to handle it with Saphanthiel. This hesitation put the patrol in peril, and they only managed to escape because Saphanthiel led the dog away. Throughout the year, rogues threatened the territory of the clans, and in one particular skirmish, Ermine Stone's tail was badly mangled. Despite infection creeping in, his tail ultimately healed, and he took on Sproutpaw as an apprentice. His apprentice was the only one to survive the slaughter of her mentor, Branchpelt, and Billowstripe, when rogues ambushed their patrol and killed all 3 warriors. The final cat to die in the Moon of Blood was Meadowkit. She was named Meadowpaw a season into the new year and was apprenticed to Petunia Thunder. She was incredibly willing to help, which Scorchheart found endearing, but Houndhusk found incredibly annoying. She was made a warrior at 12 moons old and was named Meadowfern. Birdstar honoured her observance and her wisdom, and Petunia Thunder influenced her to keep to herself, solve arguments well, and to have strong inner morals. While hunting, she almost froze to death before she was rescued and brought back to camp by Hopswipe and Petunia Thunder. Despite this, the frostbite was too great. The extensive hypoxia spread throughout her body until she succumbed and passed away. Despite the deaths in the clan, it must continue on. So Birdstar, with new vigour on his life, mentored Billowpaw. While on patrol together, they came across Bounce and her kits. He offered them shelter in the clan, but confides in Saphanthiel about whether the clan can really take on new mouths to feed this close to Leafbear. Saphanthiel listens well, and Birdstar appreciates his confidence. A few moons after Billowstripe was made a warrior, Birdstar took Minkpaw on as an apprentice. Oh, Saphanthiel, you really were not cut out for what you stepped into, but you found your place, either way. Saphanthiel was found by Petunia Thunder and Cinnamon Paw while on patrol. He happily announced he wanted to join, so he was taken back to Spiralclan. Despite being a former kitty pet, he was no stranger to fights, and due to the lack of warriors was given Branch Paw to mentor. While on patrol with Ermine Stone, the patrol encountered a dog. They were trapped in a tree, and the two argued about the best way to get rid of it. Saphanthiel led it away from camp as it headed in that direction, and the patrol eventually chased it off. This heated chase caused Saphanthiel to develop heat stroke. He appreciated Hopswipe and Petunia Thunder taking on Branch Paw while he was unwell. Unfortunately, the sentiment was not returned, and the two resent him for burdening them with more work. He recovered from heat exhaustion, only to immediately get heat stroke again. It is during this time that Birdstar confides in him, and he proves to be an excellent listener. Once his heat exhaustion finally abates, his tail got mangled by a fox. When his tail healed, he came down with white cough. Finally, he decided his best interactions he had while being part of Spiralclan was helping fixing others' problems, so he decided to become a mediator. The feelings that Greyrip has for Inkpuddle continued to grow. He buried himself in his work, as his friendship with both Inkpuddle and Scorchheart was far too important to him to ruin. Toward the end of the year, he developed green cough. When he saw Scorchheart's body, he wailed and grieved for her greatly. He could not do his job while he was sick and grief-stricken in the medicine den. Bounce used to live as a loner, but one day Lynxface appeared to her in a dream and led her to Spiralclan. She brought along her two newborn kits, Blue Kit and Heather Kit. She notices two she-cats particularly during her time in the clan so far. Petal Muzzle, whose talent she is incredibly impressed by, and Sharp Bellow, whose kits are the same age as hers. She develops a small crush on the fellow queen, who is as tender to Bounce's kits as she is her own. The crush, however, is unreciprocated, because Sharp Bellow is in love with one cat only. Petalpaw began her apprenticeship on the wrong paw with Inkpuddle. The elder became upset with her because she dared to suggest that Cinnamon Paw was not pulling his weight, and that she wouldn't measure up to him even if she tried. She and Inkpuddle still do not get along. Scorchheart is noted to admire her strength in battle, however, and this is reflected in her early warrior ceremony, where she's named Petal Muzzle and honoured for justice. Howlbillow, despite his tenderness towards her when she showed vulnerability about her skills, was distant and influenced her to be cold towards others, follow the status quo, and have trouble adapting to new things. She was given Pheasant Paw to mentor and treats him very much more tenderly than Howlbillow did to her. However, she is jealous of Pheasant Paw's shamelessness and easy ability to get along with others, and he suffers from the same fate as Cinnamon Feather does, being Inkpuddle's adopted kit, and therefore can do no wrong apparently. In the Moon of Blood, Petal Muzzle is particularly shaken by the recent death of 8 of her clanmates, and is still struggling with the shock. When Lyrekit's mother died, she and her litter-mate were raised by Inkpuddle and Scorchheart alongside Stagkit. At 4 moons old, from her speech and inability to catch what others said the first time, it became clear that Lyrekit was born partially deaf. She was apprenticed to Howlbillow, and he helped her become a better teacher. He also influenced her to be more likely to interact with others, break rules that didn't suit her, and avoid a fight, and to dwell on things. She was named Liarheart at her warrior's ceremony, and was honoured for her strategy. Inkpuddle added Lyrekit and Pheasantkit to her side with Stagkit when their mother was killed. She had a heated argument with Petalpaw and said some very hurtful things to the apprentice about not getting along with Cinnamon Paw, her adopted kit. She continued to have a poor relationship with Petal Muzzle. She rescued the clan one leaf full moon when a snake got into the camp. Before it could bite anyone, she killed and tossed it from the camp. She found a litter of kits again and took them in with Scorchheart, before her love drowned in the river. She grieved deeply for the loss of Scorchheart. For some reason, Petunia Thunder really rubs her the wrong way, and she doesn't agree with him replacing Ermine Stone as deputy. Lyrekit's brother Pheasantkit, on the other hand, was apprenticed to Petal Muzzle when he was 6 moons old, and was particularly angry that his mother Bluebellfur could not see him become an apprentice. This anger was carried through his apprenticeship and partially directed towards his mentor. Despite this, Petal Muzzle influenced Pheasantpaw to be collected, friendly, and have strong inner morals and refrain from fighting. She also helped him become a better teacher. He was named Pheasantpelt at 12 moons old and honoured for his skill. Houndhusk became a father to a second litter this year. He was also among the many cats to suffer from the outbreak of fleas. Luckily, he was able to crack down on it quickly. When the loner he met 2 years ago joins the clan, he begins gathering herbs with her often now that his apprentice has graduated. He remained madly in love with Sharpbellow and could not imagine his life without her. Scotchfur was the loner that Houndhusk spoke to at the end of Spiralclan's first year. Her circumstances changed, and when Billowstripe found her, she asked for shelter in exchange for her healing knowledge. Since the clan was low on herbs, she spent time with the other medicine cats gathering new stock. When Bitternpuddle was killed, Sharpbellow grieved for her former mentor. For 2 moons she blamed StarClan and is unable to fathom StarClan's cruelty. She becomes pregnant again and gave birth to 4 kits: Sprout Kit, Mink Kit, Twig Kit, and Hemlock Kit. She catches fleas from Houndhusk and manages to rid herself of them after 2 moons of itching. After recovering from birth, she returned to her warrior duties and took on Heatherpaw as an apprentice. Sproutpaw is a thoughtful she-cat who is always quick to help. She was born to Sharpbellow and Houndhusk in Greenleaf alongside Mink Kit, Twig Kit, and Hemlock Kit. She was apprenticed to Ermundstone and was on the same patrol that was ambushed by the rogues, and she was the only cat to survive the slaughter. Petalmuzzle has since taken over her apprenticeship. Petunia Thunder went wandering for a few days at the start of the year. He returned to find his father had died, and so he took on Cinnamon Paw as his apprentice in his stead. He quickly received Meadowpaw as a second apprentice due to his skills in teaching and the lack of eligible warriors. To combat the weighted ratio, he often combined training with Hopswipe, and Honeypaw gave him valuable insight on how to look after 3 apprentices at once. Together with Hopswipe and the 3 apprentices, they lead a patrol to chase away a fox and claim a deer carcass for food. He is shown to be a kind mentor. As Meadowpaw admits to him that she thinks she isn't good enough, he comforts her tenderly. Once again, he is caught out in the cold with Hopswipe and Meadowfern, and though the 2 try to save her, they both suffer from the cold, and Meadowfern is lost anyway, 2 moons later. When his brother Ermundstone died, he was selected to be deputy in his place. Mink Kit is close to Heather Kit growing up, and hopes they remain friends forever. She is noted particularly to be brave by Inkpuddle, but is also thoughtful and quick to help. She was apprenticed to Birdstar when she reached 6 moons. Since the death of Blue Paw and Scorchheart, she's been plagued by nightmares about the rushing river. 2 moons after his sprained paw, Hopswipe was able to return to his duties as a warrior. He took on Honeypaw as an apprentice, and along with Petunia Thunder assisted in mentoring his brother's 2 apprentices, Meadowpaw and Cinnamon Paw, as well as bringing Branchpaw along when Saphanthiel was sick in the medicine den. Despite doing him as this favour, he still isn't a big fan of Saphanthiel, and is resentful that the ex-kitty pet joined the clan only to spend all of his time sick in the medicine den. Despite his efforts to rescue Meadowfern, he suffered from frostbite that still scars his ears and nose, and lost his friend anyway. Howlbillow agrees with Hopswipe on his stance of Saphanthiel, as he thinks the Ginger Tom is not very bright. However, he never says anything about this, as Birdstar trusts him, and Howlbillow relies on the judgment of his adoptive father. He proves to be an excellent influence on the apprentices, and despite the difficult and boring tasks, easily encourages them to look after the camp wall and dens. He took on Lirepaw as an apprentice when Petalmuzzle graduated, and consoles her gently when she depresses that she thinks she isn't good enough. As he has grown, he has fostered a sense of security with Inkpuddle, who, alongside Birdstar, appears to be his only real friend. Hemlock Kit was the last born of Houndhusk and Sharpbellow's litter. She was the only one to suffer from fleas during her kithood. When she was named Hemlock Paw, she was apprenticed to Rabbit Iris. Hemlock Paw did not plan the accident that caused Twigpaw's death in any way, but she saw that the trees were unstable above them, and she stopped her rescue to prioritize the rest of the patrol. In this, Twigpaw saw nefariety, but Hemlock Paw was just trying to prevent any more death. Cinnamon Paw continued to avoid apprentice duties, leaving his workload for Petalpaw to take on instead. It seemed that Petunia Thunder wasn't as vigilant in keeping his apprentice from shirking his duties as Bitternpuddle was, though this was likely due to taking on 2 apprentices at once. He completed his training closely with Branchpaw, Honeypaw, and Meadowpaw, and gets along well with the 3 cats. While on patrol, he boldly confronts a rogue. With the help of the others, the rogue left, intimidated, and Cinnamon Paw becomes a warrior. Birdstar names him Cinnamon Feather and honoured him for his gallantry. In the moons he spent with Bittern Puddle, the former deputy influenced him to be more likely to resort to violence and refrain from socializing. However, Petunia Thunder was always much milder than his father, and he influenced Cinnamon Feather to heed his inner compass, dwell on things, and to avoid violence if possible. Still, he taught him many techniques to make him a good fighter. When he fought the rogue, he must have picked up fleas, as he started a flea epidemic in the clan and scratched so much he was missing fur for moons. Luckily, his fur grew back once he was free from the fleas and no longer itching. He took on his adoptive brother, Stagpaw, as an apprentice. While on patrol, the rogues return and badly tear at his pelt. After he recovers, though, he is left with little scarring. The wounds long, but ultimately not deep. He found himself developing a small crush on Honeyleaf, but is unsure if the feelings are reciprocated, and so he has not pursued. He caught Whitecough at the beginning of Leaf Bear, and though recovering, is still in the medicine den due to a dog bite he received while out on patrol. Shinepaw was given his medicine cat name during early leaf fall, and Houndhusk named him Shinefeather. He was honoured for his independence and learned to be a great healer from Houndhusk, who also taught him to dwell on thoughts and look deeply within for answers. Heatherkit was brought to camp by their mother Bounce, alongside their brother Bluekit. They grew up with Sharpbellow's kits and is particularly fond of Minkkit. When they became an apprentice, they were mentored to Sharpbellow. In one of their first training sessions, they jumped into a badger set to see if one had moved in, only to come face to face with the awful beast. Only due to their speed do they get away unharmed. At the end of the year, they realized that Tom didn't really describe them anymore, so they are now trans female. After a dog attack on the patrol that leaves his pelt torn, Rabbitpaw spent a few days in the medicine den. His stint in the den was longer later when he contracted green cough. Thankfully he recovered, and Birdstar named him Rabbit Iris, honouring him for his hard work. He was given Hemlock Paw as an apprentice when she reached 6 moons old. He hoped to instill the values he learned from Ermine Stone to his sister, to bend the rules, make impulsive decisions, and avoid a fight. Honeypaw was always thoughtful and was the easiest of the 4 apprentices looked after by Petunia Thunder and Hopswipe to train. He often helped to wrangle the others to be ready for patrol when the 2 young warriors struggled with 4 young cats. He contracted fleas in the epidemic but was bereft of them at around the same time as everyone else. When he was made a warrior, he was named Honeyleaf and was honoured for his cunning. Hopswipe influenced him to resort to violence and refrain from socializing. Both he and Cinnamon Feather have slight feelings for one another, but neither are game to be vulnerable to the other. Pantherkit is an unruly kit. He is quick to help and quick-witted. He was adopted at the start of Leaf Bear by Inkpuddle and Scorchheart when he was found with his brother after their mother Fleck had died. He is the kit that is a darker brown colour in the back of this picture. On the other hand, Tuftkit is polite and quick to help. Since Scorchheart's death, the 2 brothers are being raised solely by Inkpuddle. Tuftkit is the one in front that's a lighter ginger colour with rosettes. Once again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed hearing more about the stories of the cats of Spiralclan. I will get to doing more of these at some point. I just work through them at my own time. It's a bit of a passion project, but I wanted to put it out there for people to like as well. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a great day.